Let's get into the index and the numbers and what we've seen in the index compared to 2018. We've seen some change. We've seen improvements, definitely. The Danish, the Swedish and Norwegian brands and retailers have improved, done better, upped their game, but there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to work with, and let's take a look at that. So the index is based on analysis from Scandinavia and abroad around consumer behavior and consumer needs and consumer preferences. We looked into that. We've taken out the most important touch points, the most important omnichannel services and expectations that we see among consumers. It's about frictionless, fast buying experiences, frictionless across channels. It's about being inspired. It's about warm, personalized service to ensure that you gain what you want as a consumer. So that's what we're going to tap into. And the index has lined up 51 touch points across channels based on those expectations. So we've been mystery shopping in 253 stores in Scandinavia across Oslo, Copenhagen, and Stockholm. And we also did some extra mystery shopping to try to compare a bit how does Scandinavian brands and retail compare to the best in class outside Denmark. So we've been in Paris, we've been in London as well, and we captured some insights on what they do great, some of the best players outside Denmark. A bit of pictures, photos from the journey. So we've been online, we've been offline, we've been talking with store personnel, and we've captured all those touch points and put them down and extracted down to an omnichannel score across 5 phases. Some of the expectations we look into is, of course, the transition from online to the physical store. It's expectations for the touch points to be personalized. It's expectations for possibilities to make a really speedy and frictionless transition when you really want to buy the product. And some of the elements behind that makes this year's Omnichannel Index even more important is, of course, the COVID situation. We have a graph here on the left side that shows a global consumer analysis of how consumers have adopted omnichannel services. So at the bottom you can see there's listed different omnichannel services, including in-app ordering, home delivery, ordering for home instead of picking up the products. It's reserve from home or buy from home and pick up curbside or in store. It's live chat and virtual interaction with store personnel instead of going to the store. And we see an increase around 30 to 60% in all those services. So omnichannel is more important than ever before because of COVID and these new behaviors. 80% of those consumers say they will keep buying and shopping as stated here. At the same time, we have Amazon. We have large marketplaces dominating the field of brand and retail, trying to gain the revenue streams. We see Amazon entering Sweden, soon Norway and Denmark as well. So we have a new competition and we have a new consumer behavior that we have to take care of. So behind the index, it's 51 touch points across 5 phases. We've been testing all those for 253 retailers and brands, consumer brands across Scandinavia. And all of those are for a journey saying, did this happen or not happen? So it's yes or no on the different touch points. And of course, there can be differences in all journeys. Some people in stores, some store personnel will maybe act a bit different than others. But in this, we have 51 touch points. So we have a lot of data for each player in the survey. And the overall conclusion for this year is that we've seen an improvement of plus 10 in the omnichannel score. The score is based on a percentage for each phase from 1 to 100%. So 7 yes or 8 yes in one phase out of 8 would be 100%. And the score is calculated across those phases for each brand and retail actor. So the overall score, we've seen a great improvement. Well done so far. And if you look down the road and trace a bit back to the index in 2018, we tried to compare also what is actually the trace back and the difference on the index. So we've seen in the phases that we enhanced the phases a bit. We enhanced the touch points yet. It's 51 now instead of 44. That's why there is some slight differences in the score. But we still see that the awareness phase, where you have skilled marketing people working in the digital marketing teams, executing Google marketing, social media, etc., they're doing well. They're still doing well, and it's more easy to execute. Down the road, as the consumer shift channels, go to the physical store, have to interact, and maybe have to put an order in one channel and expect to receive the products in another channel, then we see the challenges. So the conclusion in this year index is more or less the same at the overall structure. We still see a huge gap in the purchase phase, in the service phase, and the loyalty phase. So this is the great opportunity to strive to close, or the gap to close, for Scandinavian brands and retail. This is the opportunity. So a lot of money is spent on Google to acquire new clients or new customers, and a lot of brands and retailers are missing out, losing those clients that are bought on Google, maybe losing those clients down the journey when it get a bit more complex than just doing great digital marketing. So this is the opportunity, increasing the customer lifecycle value, increasing and improving the customer experience in the later phases of the journey. If you take a look at the categories, we see a great variance across categories. We see that some categories are doing better than others. So if I click here, you can see that the best performing categories are maybe categories with a lot of competition, especially electronics. Has been in strong competition for many years with transparency on pricing, transparency on availability, and also abroad, pure players from abroad entering the Scandinavian markets. So here you can see the gray graph shows the average. The yellow shows the best in class. We have heightened some of the best in class, not to reveal the winner, because the winner is behind the gray box here in one of the yellow bars in one of those categories. But you can see there's a great difference between average, and average is not low. Average is okay performance, and the best-in-class players in each category. So it seems like some of those players have definitely competitive advantage and are delivering better on consumer expectations. But what is interesting is the difference between the players that don't do well and the level of customer experience and service the best-in-class players deliver. Who will actually survive, and who will actually need to catch up right now to survive in the future. So we also put in here a line. It's not an academic line, it's not a calculated line, but it's a line that pushes for reflection and thought. How well do you have to do if you are in a category with standardized products, with transparency, where Amazon and other marketplaces can actually compete with you on delivery next day, on a huge assortment, great price, great service, and great delivery. So I think there is a line here. I think there is categories where the low performers have to catch up now in order to survive, especially if you're a multi-brand player. If you're a consumer brand, there's an opportunity of working with the mix of marketplaces in your total go-to-market mix, and it's an opportunity as well, as it can be a competition. So interesting stuff. Going down to the index that you can all request access to on omnichannel-index.com. Possible to dive into the data, dive into the touch points, and look at your graph, look at your performance, and easily decode where can I, or where can we as a company do better to close the gap and deliver better. This is an example from Acne Studios, where you can see Acne is shown with the black line. So they have stuff to do, gaps to close in the awareness phase and the loyalty phase, doing pretty well in the evaluation phase on site. On the service, there's a lot to do still as well as a lot of their competitors. But let's take a look at the brands. I think it's also always interesting, both looking at multi-brands, that's one competition, and consumer brands is something different. And we all know the great, huge international brands that dominates the world of retail and consumers. And I think it's interesting to look at some of those. And here I put up two boxes. This one says, who cares? And which one of those international brands miss out and have a disconnect in the journey. So here we can recognize the performance of H&M, IKEA, Tiger of Sweden, Ganni, Jysk, and more. And the other hand, we can see that large-scale international players are doing really bad in omnichannel performance. So there's a lot to do for those players, and maybe because of the structure and the global operation, it's really difficult to change, but they have a lot to do, and there's a great opportunity to do even better. Looking into the top performers, we have listed some here. This is from Scandinavia, top 10, top 12. ARK bookstore in Norway are doing really well. NetOnNet in Sweden, electronics are doing well. Imerco, Elgiganten, Elkøb are doing well. Jysk, Dressman. So it's a mix. We see more competition and better performance in Denmark, maybe because of small or proximity of stores and online. There's maybe a bit more channel shift and maybe a bit more pure play e-commerce in Norway and Sweden, which are bigger countries. So that could be a reason. We'll look into them in a second, but just recognize that they're doing really, really well, and they're scoring really high in this Omni score. We also try to compare those with the biggest or the best omnichannel players in Europe, including Decathlon, Eram, big shoe store, shoe company in France, Shoe from Germany that also operates in the UK, John Lewis, Urban Outfitters, Adidas, and Nike. And the conclusion is that Scandinavian top performers are actually competing really well and to some extent perform better than those international brands. So I think that Scandinavian brands and retailers, the top performers at least, are in a good state. But we can also learn something from those international players. They're doing different stuff, different elements that they do really, really well. We'll look into that in a second. What does good look like? Improvements. We can see from last time, up, Click and Collect, Omnibasket, transfer the basket from online to offline, use of gift card in all channels, store personnel that can access availability of products in other channels or other stores. And of course, maybe COVID as well, mobile payment has increased a lot. So great job on implementing all those services across Scandinavia. And this is great improvements. But let's look into what's behind, what are the learnings, and what are kind of a moment of truth in the journey that we should really care about closing the gap on. So I will just look into the model of great B2C commerce in an omnichannel perspective, and we'll try to look into what we call true differentiators. Where can you actually deliver a remarkable, great customer experience that could also lead into a better customer lifecycle value in your business? So I will look into some elements, some key elements of the journey, and look into what does good look like when we look at the best-in-class players. So first of all, the first theme here is the shopping experience, making it rich, making it inspiring, making it social. Selling products now to consumers is not just transactional anymore. You have to enrich the journey, you have to give advice, you have to inspire, and you have to deliver something extraordinary, especially to compete with Amazon. And Amazon is really transactional, but they also do great on reviews and personalized experience of suggestions, etc. But to compete, you have to enrich your experience. You have to be at minimum the same level as Amazon on hygiene factors, and then you have to do even better. So in the survey, we can see that only 28% of the Scandinavian players are actually using or showing customer reviews. So that's a big gap. It's really important in the buying decision to look aside to other consumers. What did they do? What did they say about the product? Do I feel safe buying the product? Only 52%, half of the players, are actually using social media proactively. That means they post regularly with a high frequency, they inspire in all channels. That could be Instagram, Facebook, etc. So there's also a disconnect here, an opportunity lost to compete with the big transactional players. And then we see basic stuff. Actually, 1/3 is lacking sufficient product data that are important or crucial to take a buying decision and to qualify if you want to buy the product. So that's basic stuff that should be in place. And let's try to look at Adidas, who's doing really well. They have a great shopping experience. They have done a lot of work and doing really well. So they have great photos of their products. They have great service as well. As you can see here in the top, they have free delivery. They have order online, pick up in store, even though they're a big brand. Maybe it's difficult to change the operations. They have implemented that, at least in a lot of countries, not all yet. They have great overview of the products. They have great product information. They have connection with Instagram and social media to engage their customers across countries, sharing their style photos, etc. And they also have a really advanced review section where you can actually look into details on reviews, if it's about the comfort or the size or the quality of the products. So really great shopping experience that I think a lot of Scandinavian players can learn from. Then let's look into a really important moment of truth. Are we able to deliver the product? How fast can we deliver? Amazon is going to deliver next day on a huge assortment. So how well are we doing on actually delivering the product when the consumer wants it? We have some stats here, some great stats. We have only 23% that offers reserve in store. We have only 2% that use the local inventory shopping ads in Google. It's for the consumers that want to buy offline today or tomorrow. Google offers the opportunity of actually showing local inventory data from the local stores. But only 2% is using that. That's the future. Still, only 63% gives the opportunity to check the inventory in store. That means there's a great disconnect on 1/3 of the journeys for those in the journey that wants to shift channel, qualify online, buy offline. And still, only 4% offer same-day delivery. And that's maybe a main competitive advantage that local Scandinavian brands and players can take advantage on, is the physical stores, the inventory in store, and deliver from there directly to the consumers. Beat Amazon on delivery time with maybe 24 hours. But who's doing great? This is Shu from London. We can definitely learn something from the players outside Denmark. They offer click and collect within 20 minutes. That's extremely fast. That means they support both the click and collect journey where you start at home, go to the store to pick it up. That might take a bit more than 20 minutes. But they also support the journey where you are on the mobile, in a cafe around the corner, or in the actual store, if it's a big store, and order, and you can have your product ready in 20 minutes, even though it's somewhere in the back door, the backdoor inventory in the store or nearby. So great job. In France, in the larger cities, we see that they're doing really well as well. They have 1 hour delivery in both in Decathlon and in Enaram, so they're doing really well as well. So here you can see they're promoting it everywhere at the moment. 1 hour pickup in all stores. And looking into Gani and RFID, H&M are doing really well at the moment. They are doing bad financially, but they're catching up right now. They're really improving because they're closing stores. They have to do that because of COVID and other situations. But they also are implementing RFID across all channels. Going into the purchase phase, I will just show you some players that are doing really well in the purchase phase. First of all, if you want to get the products right away, you need to be really in time and in place with your in-store inventory. RFID can help that, and we see that H&M and Gani are doing well. But it's a need to be really great on in-store RFID or other methods of keeping the in-store inventory up to date. But if you can do that, you can really deliver the great experience, and you can deliver on expectations. But let's look into to the next phase. When you are in the store, it might be a journey that starts online and go to the physical store. It might be just a journey where you incidentally, just on impulse, going into a physical store. Then we see a lot of consumers leaving the store again for some reason. But we see that 25% is leaving because they actually didn't have the product. They were not able to deliver the product in the store, and the consumer leaves the store. That's lost sales, and it's a downside on customer experience and satisfaction. We see in the index now that only 16% are sharing the screen with customers. That means only 16% of the store personnel are able to switch the screen and shop online and use digital to help the purchase situation and show a more broad assortment or take care of an out of stock situation. So there's a great gap here, and the consumers want to buy online or want to buy offline and get it delivered. They don't care. It's a great opportunity to take the order in store and deliver at home. Adidas is doing that really, really well. I will show that in a second as well. Only 6% are offering self-service in-store screens. So in terms of shopping on your own in the store, there's also a disconnect. Of course, you have the mobile phone, but only a few are actually promoting that you should go online on your phone to shop and get more information, because there is a disconnect on product availability and other stuff. So this is really interesting. But who's doing great? We see Everlane in the US. They're doing really, really well. They are a digital-born company. They have all things digital, and they use tablets all around to run the sales. The same with Ganni. We have helped Ganni implement iPhone POS in their stores, and we've seen a lift in registration of customer data and a much better experience looking into out-of-stock situations with products out of the store. Yeah. Adidas is doing well as well, and I will just shortly show H&M that uses RFID and mobile in-store to show the local inventory. They're doing really, really well. Final subject here is customer data and the loyalty and service phase. There's a disconnect as well. We see that only 24% is asking for permission in store. Only 18% are actually able to provide their store personnel with data about the client to give a better experience. And only 24% are following up on abandoned basket situations. Really interesting. Who's doing great? Uniqlo are doing really great. They have an app membership, they have emails, so they're doing really, really great. They are offering a lot of advantages on the app side, and they're using that for in-store personalization and as well for email personalization. They're doing really, really well. So the app membership is maybe the new loyalty program. Other stuff for customer data, if you catch customer data, you can measure much more. You're able to measure across channels, and you are able to measure across channels on, if I invest in AdWords, how much will I see offline in actually total revenue? A great job doing if you're catching all customer data, crunching them and using them for your marketing decisions. It's really important in the future to compete with Amazon, and it's crucial to win the category and still go for more clients. I will look into the final here, some recommendations. Adidas are doing really well. CEO of Adidas, Kasper Holst, is saying, we're a digital company. They're doing really well. Beaver in Holland, doing really well. They have a meetup every Monday morning. They look into customer data. They use that for improving the customer experience. And finally, some recommendations for you guys. I turn it around saying, in omnichannel, strategy beats culture. First of all, you have to project your business 3 to 5 years ahead. You have to know what you're looking into. You have to redefine your process and data. You have to invest in new capabilities, order management, digital POS, customer data platform, etc. You have to organize your people for customer centricity and reallocate. You have to measure your customer lifecycle value, and you have to measure the satisfaction of your client. And then you have to continuously to invest in customer experience in all your touch points. That's the final say I have. Looking into the index, you will have the opportunity to visit omnichannellindex.com live, request access to your data, and this is available for all of you. And I hope that you will gain from the data you get to improve your business. Take a look and please request your access online.